Welcome to Dive In Deep with Dr. Danny. You in the right place, the right station, and you're listening to the right guy. Listen, it's happening right here. Need for you to get pen and paper. Need you to put on your thinking cap. And if you're already a critical thinker, I want you to challenge what you're going to hear tonight. We're going to talk about it from A to Z. Whatever is happening out there in the world, we're going to discuss it tonight. Are you ready? Let's go. Three, two, one. Hey, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's fine. Maybe somebody come on a moment, and that way we can know that we're live and what we're doing on this end. So somebody hit me up, jump on the chat, jump on the chat, so that we know that you're there. Jump on it so we know that you're there, so we'll be good to go. Right, good to go. We'll get right on it. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Somebody pop on in a moment so we can know whether or not we got things rolling and working like they should. Let's see. Is there anybody on? Maybe somebody come on in just a minute. And that way I know exactly what we're dealing with. Or what we're dealing with. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go, Donna. I see you. I see you. Can you hear me pretty good? All right, can you hear me pretty good? Okay. Hey, Carolyn, how we doing tonight? I see Donna. I see Carolyn. I see Mary. I see everybody. All right, you coming on, so you're popping on. Good, good. Pop on in, pop on in, pop on in and get somebody down to see if they can hear me on the broadcast. Sounds good. Okay, Donna says she can hear me really good, so that's good. That is good. That is good. Come on. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. All right. There are a lot of things that are happening, man. So I got to talk about some things, man. There's a lot of things are happening. A lot of things are happening out there, man. They're yeah, I mean, the TVs are full of news. I mean, really full of news. Just we'll find out in a few days what's happening with the trial. Right now, Carolyn says she can hardly hear me. Right, Carolyn says she can hardly hear me. Okay, I need to know. I need to know whether or not I need to switch over to something else. Right, I need to know, do I need to turn up the volume some? Right, so somebody let me know. SD Whitaker, let me know how you hear me. Right, I want to know, is the volume right? You can hear me? Okay, good. Donna can hear me. SD Whitaker can hear me. Okay, good. Okay, great. Listen, I want to get right into it. First, let me apologize for the late start tonight. It's not that I wasn't here and able to do the broadcast. Actually, I was here, but a matter came up that I needed to deal with, and with a vendor, and I had to deal with that while I was available, to make sure that the service I'm providing is efficient. And so you understand how that is. But listen, I want to talk to you about a lot of stuff that's happening. A lot of stuff that's happening. I want you to be on top of it, but I don't want you to just be a hearer. I want you to be a doer. And so then I want to talk about what goes on in the workplace, right? That go on the workplace. How do you handle that? Whether you can handle that. When is it time to get out of that? Right. So it's a whole lot that is happening. And the reason I brought this up is because I heard the release just earlier today that the chairman of the FDIC has agreed to resign. And the whole reason behind all of this is that there are some employees that have complained what they call workplace harassment. Some of a sexual nature, some of a domineering type nature. But anyway, it's a hostile environment. and finally has succumbed to the pressures that are out there. Now that is something that's on the national scene, but I also want to talk about what's happening with you and your job. And I want you to know that there are some advantages to retirement and there's some disadvantages to retirement. The disadvantage of retirement is if you retire, you don't have a job to go to, and you can't change your income, right? You can't change any of that. Now the advantage is that you don't have to deal with the pressures of an employee, employer, or an employee, whatever the situation is. You've survived that, and you've secured a retirement check, whatever you want to call it, and that way you don't have to deal with it. But this is for the people that are still in the workforce, right? For the people that are currently still in the workforce. It's tough out here. Yeah, I need to say that again. It is tough to be on a job. She says I look darker on the screen. Actually, what has happened? Let me tell you what's happened. Let's see if I can cut the light on. Maybe it'll help. But let me tell you what has happened. I have I don't know if that helps any or not, but I have a whole setup of podcasts that while I'm broadcasting, I can broadcast Facebook, I can broadcast YouTube, and then I can put it all over on um, um, for the podcast. I can put the recording. And for some reason tonight, when I got ready to go into my uh, podcast software, it would not connect to Facebook and YouTube. They've upgraded it, and you got to do something different. So I'm actually broadcasting straight from Facebook. So that's why it sounds different and looks different. Yeah, yeah. That's what it is. So what you listen to tonight is just a regular Facebook Live. It didn't have all the enhancing features that I typically have for you. So I don't have the high definition tonight and any of those things because I needed to get on. So I got to spend some time working to figure out what happened with this, with the connection with the software, and what's going on with that, and how to connect that to the Facebook account. So that's my explanation for that. But listen, until you do retire, you got to deal with some changes in the workplace. There's some changes in the workplace environment. And I wrote down 7 steps, and I'm gonna go through them very quickly. I'm not gonna hold you long tonight, but it's 7 steps that I want to make sure that you're aware of, especially since this thing has happened with the FDIC chairman and this workplace lawsuit that is now pending, and it is going to be a vicious lawsuit. And whenever there's a major lawsuit, then people begin to look local. A lot of times, people don't look local until something big happens. And so, what is the first step that you deal with in the workplace? Here it is. The first step is make sure you show up professionally at all times. Make sure you're not the source of the problem, right? Yeah, yeah. Make sure that you show up professionally at all times. It is a hostile environment. You don't go to work to make friends, right? You don't go to work to socialize. Now, I needed to say that because many of my listeners, and this is not to be misogynistic or it's not to be chauvinistic, but in many cases, women look for affirmation at work because you spend a lot of time there. You spend a lot of time there, so you want to talk to folk. You want to interact with folk. You sometimes you want to cross that line of professionalism, right? And that doesn't always work. That doesn't always work. Now, sometimes you can get away with it, right? Until someone has a problem with you, right? So be real careful. Be real careful about joking and playing and extracurricular activities and interaction. Be real sure that you're showing up professionally. And when you show up professionally, watch this now, you have an obligation to be competent. You have an obligation to be competent and cordial. See, you're not listening to me tonight. You got to be competent and cordial. Let me tell you something. Now, this position has a lot to do. This position has a lot to do with how it plays out in a legal setting. See, in a legal setting, because see, when something legally happens, all the stuff under the rug comes up, all of it, not just your version of it. If you're watching the trial that's going on right now, with Donald Trump and them. If you'd watched that trial, you would have seen that we all know anybody with common sense, anybody with common sense would know that man is guilty. Anybody. I don't care what your politics are. You know he was guilty. You know what he did. You know, ain't this ain't Ellis. No. You know that he knew what was going on the whole time. He was behind it. There's no question about that, right? If you're saying there's a question about that, it's because there's some political gain for you, right? It is not about the truth, right? It is about this whole idea of maintaining power for a particular political party. It is not about truth. You know he knew what was going on. You knew he signed those checks. Nobody signs checks and don't know where the money going. I don't care how much money you got. I read something somewhere, and it says, "What is the difference between a billionaire and somebody who does not have any money?" Because a billionaire knows where all his money is. That's how a billionaire stays a billionaire. See, a billionaire is not a careless spender. A billionaire is very, very acute and astute when it comes to their money, right? So when you have money, you know where your money is. You're not very wasteful. So there's no way you could write a check for totaling over 430 or $450,000 and you not know that Michael Coins was getting over on you. You knew and you authorized it. But anybody in a sense knows that. You don't need to go to trial for that. Now there's a play on law. It's a play on words. But what I want you to pay attention to, I want you to notice how they get down into the dirt whenever you accuse them of something. As long as Michael Cohen was on their side, they defended him and they defended his action. But notice what is happening now when you start talking about workplace. They start keeping up with the number of phone calls, the length of time of the phone calls. Could this have been discussed at this time? Could you be a renegade, a runaway employee? And that's what happens on the everyday job. Whenever they start to have a problem with you, right? Watch this now. They start to dig into your work ethic and your the quality of work that you do, right? They start to build a case. And so here's what you need to do, because you need to know what they're going to do. They're always going to make it about the fact that you're not as competent as you need to be. That's how it always plays out, because we live in an employer right state where an employer does not necessarily need a reason to let you go. But in the same setting, they do kind of need a reason, right? And they can let you go for a whole lot of reasons, but they can't let you go because they've harassed you and you didn't go along with it, right? Or they did certain things to you and you didn't go along with it. So they got to make sure that it's you, the fingers are always pointed at you, right? So what they do is they hold on to work that you do. They code it, they write it somewhere, so when the time is right, they can go back to those records. They can go back to that product. They can go back to whatever it is that they need to take somebody else to, so they can identify that there's something wrong with you. I said this before in a previous broadcast about something. Remember, HR does not work for you. HR works for the company. HR works for the company, right? Don't you ever forget that. That's why sometimes you have to hire an attorney, right? Because HR does not work for you. What HR is supposed to do is protect the company, right? And if they can protect the company by protecting people in management, then they will do that. They only turn against them when they have to, right? Right? Carla said they have to have a reason if you've been there very long. If you have tenure, and there is, it depends on how you were hired, right? It depends on how you were hired and how your contract operates. For instance, my contract ECU is real clear, right? It is real clear. If they can claim that they don't have the money to pay me, they don't need any reason to let me go, even though I have a multi-year contract. Did you hear what I said? Even though I have a multi-year contract, it is written in that contract, right, that it is subject to the budget. That's the key words. It's subject to the budget. That means that if someone wanted to alter the budget, and they believe in from a managerial perspective that my position, right, is not fruitful going forward, then they can release me, right? They can release me based upon that, and I have no grievance. I have no grievance. So you need to understand that. Now they can release me, and then 3 months later they can come up with some more money, or they can move some money, whatever, and then they can hire somebody else to do the work. So you got to be smart. Don't think you're smarter than you are. So here's what I want you to do. First step, make sure that you're not the problem. Make sure you do. Don't be soft. No, make sure that you're not. You're not, because listen, I've hired many people, and most of the time it's them. It's them, because the organization has been going along a long time without you. So you need to make sure it's not that you're not the source of problem. The second thing is that you have to evaluate the harassment or the problem on whether or not it is an individual that's doing it, or is it a corporate culture, right? Is it a particular individual or individuals, or is it a corporate culture, right? Now you because you got to be clear minded. You can't be emotional. I'm telling you right now, you cannot be. You ain't hearing what I'm saying tonight. I'm trying to help you understand something, because you get all into your feelings, right? You start talking about what they doing with other folk. That is never going to end up in the courtroom. What they did with Betty Sue, right? Betty Sue information is never going to show up in your case unless Betty Sue joins the lawsuit with you. Unless Betty Sue files a complaint, right? It is not going to happen. You're going to have to prove your case based on your case alone. Now, here is the advantage and the disadvantage. The disadvantage is that when you're isolated like that, it's hard to know what they're doing with somebody else. It's hard to know. All you got is rumors. You don't have facts. You do not have facts because somebody told you. That doesn't make it a fact. Unless you have access to records and complaints, you don't know. And those assets comes through HR. right? It got to go through HR. You got to have a friend in HR. Okay, so I see y'all ain't hear me yet. You got to have a friend in HR. Let me tell you the easiest way in the world to lose a case. You're going to lose a case whenever you start pointing at everybody. You start pointing at everybody, you're going to lose because nobody believes that. Right? So you need to concentrate on specific incidents involving specific individuals. I'm telling you now, because other people go to defend their workplace. They have incentives to defend their workplace. They are part of the culture. I teach this all the time. My basics that I teach my students all the time. Whenever they file a lawsuit about harassment or discrimination, it is so hard to prove it because you got to know the numbers. You got to know the work ethic of everybody else. You got to know that they didn't promote you because of your color or they didn't promote you because of your sex. The only way you can prove that is that you got to prove that you were more efficient and effective than the other person that didn't look like you. How do you know how effective and efficient they were? You don't have access to their work record. Okay, let me make it simple to you. Let's say that you're getting evaluated by one thing and one thing only, which you're not. It's always several things. But let's say you were getting evaluated based on typing speed or sorting speed. And let's say that the standard for that particular company is that you have to type 60 words a minute. Okay? So here it is, you type 60 words a minute, but they promote, Betty Sue. And you've seen Betty Sue type, and she typed by sight. Okay? Now you think you have factual information that you're more efficient than Betty Sue. But because of what you saw with Betty Sue has nothing to do with it. If they have a record on hand that says that Betty Sue types 75 words a minute, that case ain't gonna even get to the judge's desk. If that record says that. Now, the way you win the case is you have to show that Betty Sue can only type 40 words a minute, right? And Linda Ellen, whatever her name is, and she types only 50 words a minute, but you type 60 words a minute, and they got promoted. And you didn't. You got to have their personnel records. You got to have them. You cannot. Now your lawyer can get them, but you can't. I'm trying to tell you about workplace, so you understand how that works. Most companies have a general counsel, has a lawyer, right? They have a lawyer, right? And some of them have several lawyers. The lawyers work for the chain of command. It works for leadership. It don't work for you. Okay, all right. So evaluate the people, but both individually and corporately, and make sure that when you look at it, here's number 3. I want you to remain focused. Whenever you feel like you've been harassed at work, I want you to listen and remain focused. Listen and remain focused. Now, here it is. A keen ear and a closed mouth initially will provide clarity from a strategic perspective. Did you hear what I just said? A keen ear and a closed mouth will provide clarity from a strategic perspective. Be careful what you're saying. Be careful how you say it. Be careful how your voice carries through the wall at work. Make sure that they have not recorded you through the wall and they have you recorded making conversations that you should not be making. I'm trying to help you now. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. I've been in leadership, right? Employment leadership a long time. In that hearing, in that courtroom, a lot of stuff comes out, right? And if you ain't dressed right, you're going to get drugged through the mud. Because you don't know how long, right? Someone next to you in the cubicle next to you has been recording what you've been doing. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. Now, the only way you can know that they don't have nothing on you is because you ain't done nothing. You ain't said nothing. You ain't participated in nothing. I'm going to tell you something else. I'm just trying to help you tonight. I ain't going to be long. But when you're using the phone at work, you're giving them permission. Even if it's your phone. If you're talking at work and I'm going to tell you something else that you should not be doing. You should not be mentioning anybody's name anyway while you're talking at work. Right? You don't need to be on the phone talking and Betty Sue is at the front desk and you 2 doors down the hall and you mention Betty Sue's name. Don't do it. Don't do it. So you're going to get your feelings hurt. Don't do it. Right? Because listen, you don't know who's in between you and Betty Sue, who's recording, who's writing, and you mention her name. Right? And see, you have this tendency to say stuff like that. I ain't studying these folk at work. What'd you just say? I ain't studying these folk at work. Somebody heard you say that, didn't they? So now you're not a team player. See what you just said? Now you are creating a hostile environment. I ain't studying these folk at work. See? That to me, that sounds like you're not, you in your mind, you're not willing to work on a team. So you're resistant to what's required. I'm trying to help y'all. See, I know you want to get married. I know you want to get mad, but I'm trying to tell you now, your personality is problematic in that courtroom. You better start watching. Number 4. My friend Frankie Bordeaux said this today when we was giving our briefing before we started. He says, remain positive. Positivity goes a long ways. Wherever and whenever you can, be positive. Do not come to work negative every day. Be calm and consistent with your voice, right? Because you got to remember, we're here to get this paper. If you at work for any other reason, right, you confused, boo. You're there to do a professional job and receive a professional salary. That's what you're there for. I don't care if they didn't eat your brownies. I didn't tell you to bring brownies. I didn't tell you to bring, you decided to bring brownies. And they didn't eat your brownies. And now you're upset because they ate Susie's brownies. They have a right to eat whoever brownies they want to eat and not eat whoever brownies they don't want to eat. You were wrong for bringing the brownies with the expectation that they were going to eat them. And just because they eat your brownies doesn't mean that they're going to be any nicer to you. You got to have some discernment. Right? You got to have some discernment. I'm telling you now, listen to me. You better listen to somebody who's on the top end of something. I'm the president of Black Faculty Organization at ECU, 143 faculty members. I get to hear it all from them and what they go through. And these people have PhDs. They have masters and PhDs. And I have to hear about how they're getting treated, right? And then have to try to interpret what they're saying and then try to make sure that they understand what salience in the work environment can do. Because other people are on another team. They live in the same neighborhood. Their kids go to the same school, same debutante, same country club. You better know what you're dealing with. The higher you get, the harder it is. See, people think that it's hard. It ain't hard. And I'm just because I don't know. I ain't never worked at Cummins. I ain't never worked there. But it ain't hard at Cummins. You know why? You might think that it is, but it ain't. Because there's a lot of us's at Cummins. Wait till you get to the top, degree-wise, and you the only scientist in the room. You the only provider in the organization that look like you. You the only researcher that look like you, right? The smart people get smarter when it comes to this thing. I'm telling you now. So you better know that it ain't gonna get easier as you go up the ladder. No. Now the fifth thing is through your listening, you got to find the ones that have not drank the water yet. In other words, you got to find allies who have not taken on the poison yet. That doesn't mean you go around soliciting. No. Let me explain something to you. In most cases, if they're doing it to you, they've already done it to somebody else. Or should I say did it? They've already did it to somebody else. And that person is a potential ally if you listen. If you listen, now you don't solicit, but you watch. Watch this now. Which employee that does not participate? I'm trying to show you what's up now. You watch the one who leaves as soon as it's time to go. If there's not something mandatory, they don't come to it. They don't participate. They don't have nothing to do. That's the employee that they done something to. If it's a cultural thing, if it's a corporate culture, you better watch that. You better watch. You better watch that. You better watch. Watch very closely. Watch very closely, because here's what happens. Now, I don't necessarily want to bring race into it, only because it's relevant. That's why I want to bring it into it. When black people get harassed, they want to fight back, right? They want to get loud and when white people get harassed, watch this now. They get very quiet, very cordial, and they go looking for a job. They go looking for a job quickly. They go looking for a job, and you gotta really identify who they are, because they can become an ally down the road. Down the road, I'm telling you now, you gotta pay attention. But see, when you getting harassed, you think it's just you. So all you doing is looking at you. All you doing is feeling it, feeling the pain, feeling the wrong. So all you see is me. You better open up your eyes and watch and listen to what's happening to somebody else. Now you don't go around running your mouth and say, they did so and so to me. No. No. You gotta keep staying positive, but watching. Okay. Let me give you something here. I'm gonna give this to you for free. And especially in the black community, we don't like to talk about incest and molestation. We don't like to talk about it. We don't like to talk about rape. None of that. We don't want to talk about none of that. But it happens a lot in our community. We just don't talk about it. But let me tell you how you can tell when a sibling or someone in the family has been molested. Right? All you got to do is look at their level of involvement. Their level of involvement. If you see a drop off, did you hear me? If they used to be fun and want to be a part of everything, and they want to sit in the front seat of the car, and they fighting over seats in the car and all that kind of stuff, and y'all going somewhere, everything is fine. But if you find a child that all of a sudden they run to the back seat and get over in the corner, right? And they don't have a whole lot to say, and they used to be Jubilee and all that kind of stuff, and they're not anymore. You better know something done happened. They ain't just acting out. Something done happen because any child, any young person wants the involvement and the approval of their parents. Right? Did you hear what I said? I don't care what they said, that's what they want. But all of a sudden, when you stop seeing that happen, and you see one parent starts to try to be so extra nice to the other children, that parent sometimes is building allies with the other children to help isolate you. And sometimes you got to open up, watch, listen. Just because it ain't happening to you doesn't mean it ain't happening. It's the same thing in the work. I'm trying to teach y'all tonight. You're not listening to me. Same thing in the workplace. You start looking at them employees, the other ones. Start looking at them. Matter of fact, look who just left. Look at some of the recent resignees, right? They've resigned. Why? Why did they resign? Did they take a lateral move? Who takes a lateral move? Right? They didn't get more money, but they left. Right? Maybe they didn't even tell anybody they were getting ready to leave. See? Just one day you came there and they weren't there no more. Nobody gave you an explanation of why they were gone. Somebody know why they were gone. Okay. Okay. So that I gave you the fifth thing, enlist others who are not yet poisoned by the negative minority. Okay, you do that for sure, right? Now, the sixth thing is eventually when you're sure, right? When you're sure, I ain't talking about I feel it. You can't prove. Michael Cohen can't prove what he feels. Can't prove what you believe. You better prove what is factual. But when you know that you know that you know, then you got to voice your concerns to management in a formal interaction. But remember now, when you go formal, right? When you go formal and you put them against the wall, you better have somewhere else to go. Because you don't know what role they played in it. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Someone who's two levels above you and they got somebody in between them and you, watch this now. When you go to the one that is above the one in between you, remember now, the one up here stays up here because of the work of this one. See, the big manager, right? The middle managers are what make them stay afloat. And you're asking them that they need to do away with the middle manager, right? The one who's been holding them up. You better know what you're doing. You better know what you're doing. And I'm not trying to say it's your fault. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to tell you is the lower you are on the totem pole, the easier you are to replace. If you're in middle management, it's harder to replace. If you upper management, it's really hard to replace. But if you beneath that, okay, okay, right? Because this what happens, right? This what happens. See, we have this strange idea that management is supposed to support us at the bottom. That ain't true. Management supports middle management. That's really how it works. Because if middle management doesn't get the support of management, right, then that's a problem. Now I know most people think the squeaky wheel gets the oil. You think that the people at the bottom or you think that they're really no. No, no, no. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, to hit you with this bad news, but you need to understand that. You need to understand that, right? You need to be clear. Here's what I tell students, right? Everybody's supposed to do what's right. Everybody's supposed to do what's right. Now, I tell students, I said, when you complain about a professor, right, you better be absolutely to the TTT, absolutely right. Because this is what the deal is. If they fire that professor, who's going to teach all the other 100 students that are in there? You're one student among 100. They fired the professor. Okay, you got what you want. Who's going to teach that class? So you think the boss is gonna, with all the work that they got to do, they're gonna stop what they're doing and add on another class with 100 students? Or maybe you think that ain't your problem, right? And maybe it ain't your problem, but you asking management, upper management, to make it their problem, right? That's what you, so you got to think big, right? So let me get this right. So they are going, right, to magically come up with somebody that's going to teach what they don't want to teach, or see the patients that you were seeing, or a package on the line, whatever it is, whatever your profession is. You got to think macro. You got to think big picture, right? You got to think big picture, right? I mean, for real. Because see, when you management, you know who got your back? It ain't the lower level employees. It's the ones right underneath you. That's who got your back. See, if you got to deal with somebody above you, you better make sure you got somebody who works for you that's going to talk good about you. And you didn't support them and they below you, you went down a level below to an employee underneath them, and you think that they're going to, no, it ain't going to happen. Y'all need to know how this game is played. Y'all better know how this game is played. I'm telling you. Okay, watch this. Watch this. Let me just. I'm not afraid to get political, but let me just tell you something. Why do you think all those Republicans are showing at the courtroom for? First of all, they know he's guilty. They know. Second of all, watch this now. There's no benefit to them for him to go to jail or him to be found guilty. If he's found guilty, it hurts all of them. They don't care about whether he's guilty or innocent. They just want him to be declared innocent. Because if he's found guilty, then November, some of them gonna get voted out. But if he wins, then the Republican ticket, they have what they need. They have the House and they have the White House. The House is where all money is appropriated, right? So all bills that include money comes out of the House. You got to know how this works. The House can send a bill, watch this now, and if they have a Republican president, he's going to sign it. But if they have a Democrat president, like we do now, he can veto it. So they can't get what they want. So at all costs, they want the same party in the White House. It's a money thing, right? He's going to sign everything they send. He's never going to veto what the same party has sent forward. Now, when you talk about the Senate, you're talking the judicial boards. You're talking who get to be judges. Right now, a Republican judge cannot get to. It don't matter. It can't happen. That's why before, when Republicans was in charge of the Senate, That's why you have the Supreme Court the way it is right now. So they don't care about guilt or innocent or whether or not the monies are paid. All they want is for him to be declared innocent, not to be innocent because they know he not. See, because it's all about power and control in the workplace. Who's in charge? Now you ain't gotta like it, but you ain't gotta be ignorant to it either. You gotta know how this thing works. I told you before, in America, the two things that count is knowledge, you can put slash education, and money. Now, the videotape of Puffy Combs, watch him go down. Watch him go down. I'm gonna show you something now. Watch him go down. If you ain't seen it, you need to see it. He going down because he's a black billionaire. And his billionaire status is going away right now. All those companies that he's selling liquor for, they talking about taking back the keys to the city of New York that they gave him, right? He gonna go down like smoke. But Donald Trump can do what he did, and they're gonna hold him up because he's fighting for the position to be their big boss. And the final thing I want you to know is when things are going bad on the job, you got to spend some time where you got to end the fellowship. You got to end the relationship, and you got to prepare an exit plan. Right? You do. You gotta have a timeline. You got to set a timeline in your mind and say, listen, for the next 2 months or 3 months, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lay cool. I'm gonna lay low. I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna be proficient. I'm gonna get everything that I need. Hey, that's how I became an entrepreneur. I was on a bad job, bad situation, but I started learning everything. I started reading everything because I knew it wasn't gonna be long before I decided to start my own, and that's what I did. That's what I did. I became a consultant to what it is I was doing on the regular. Yeah. I equipped myself to the point that I was a valuable asset. And when I knew I had value, and I ain't got time to talk about this because I'll talk about this Sunday when I'm teaching my folk, right? Because you don't seek out success, you seek out value, right? You don't seek out success. No. It's elusive. No, you seek out value because people always pay for value. They'll always invite value. I'm gonna talk about it on Sunday. Don't. You got to catch me on Sunday to get this piece I'm gonna give them here. But understand this. And most people want to be successful. They want to look like it. No, value. You got to be a person that you bring value to the space you occupy. And I ain't talking about you being subjective. You know what the others think you really bring value. You got to be really good at what you do. Stay up late at night, study, read, understand, train yourself, right? Become really good at it. And then when you go somewhere else or whatever, then people will look at the work you do. They won't wonder why you left somewhere else, right? Because you're bringing value, right? But make sure now. Here's the thing, and I try not to get in trouble by this, but people do this. People always tell me about going to another city. Yeah, I'm going to Houston. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to New York. I'm going to DC. That ain't gonna change nothing for you. That is not going to change nothing for you. I've been in this business too long. I know where the elite are, and I know the elite qualities that people have, and I know where they're located at. And all you're gonna do is be a small fish in a big pond, but you're still a small fish. See, if you're a big enough fish, you ain't got to go nowhere. If you're a big enough fish, right, a smart enough fish, you'll change where you are. Now, there's some reasons that good reasons to relocate and all that kind of stuff. There's some good reasons for that. But generally, most people talk about, well, I'm gonna move to I'm gonna move to Florida. What difference Florida gonna make for you? right? If you really good, someone from Florida will try to buy your operation. They'll come recruit you, right? They'll come recruit you. You ain't got to go there. They'll come recruit you, right? That's how that works, right? So listen, man, I just want to come with that and give you these 7 things. I'm out of here. I didn't intend to hold you this long. But listen, I'm just telling you, man. And I know some of you, Carolyn, like me, I know you retired and all that kind of stuff, but you got people in your family and you need to let them know. You need to tell them, whoever they are. You need to tell them, so listen, stop complaining about the job. First of all, why are you on the job? Are you there to make friends? Right? Are you there to get fed? I mean, why are you even there? If you're confused about why you're there, then that's a problem. I know why I'm there. I know what's going on. I know I got a timeline. I got a timeline what I'm trying to do. And here's the thing, man. If you're really good at what you do, when you get ready to exit, they're gonna know anyway. They don't want you to go. They may offer you something different,
Bluetooth connected.
right? They may offer you something different. I don't know, right? But anyway, it's your boy hollering at y'all, man. Appreciate you. You know, deal. Hopefully, I said something tonight to help you. With Dr. Danny, listen. Send somebody in my direction. Let's be about it, not talk about it. Come on. Home ownership. Next week. But until then, buy and sell. You be the difference that you're seeking others. Come on. Have a good evening.